We're talking tariffs, we're talking takedowns, we're talking medical schemes in meltdown. My friends, it is a big news day and this is the show that makes it make sense. In today's episode, the US slapped South Africa with a 30% tariff. Some of the country's biggest medical aids are facing a scathing racial discrimination report. And behind the Springboks' second Italy test, the Bulls are quietly rebuilding a URC super team. Plus a couple other stories to bring up at your next paddle match. Let's get into it. And kicking us off with current affairs, South African exports to the US will be hit with a 30% tariff from the 1st of August after Washington rejected Pretoria's request for a last-minute delay. Now, President Trump sent the news in a public letter to Cyril Ramaphosa, blaming the unfair trade deficit. In other words, the US imports far more from South Africa than it exports in return. Now, Ramaphosa pushed back on this, saying that the US data is clearly wrong, that nearly 80% of US goods already enter South Africa duty-free. But at the same time, according to Business Tech, South Africa exported almost 3 times more to the US last year than it imported. And Trump has warned that if South Africa tries to retaliate with its own tariffs, he'll just raise the 30% even higher. Now, Trump has since said that this August 1st deadline is firm, but not 100% firm. In his words, if they call up and say they'd like to try something different, we're going to be open to that. But Pretoria already made its offer weeks ago, which was this proposed trade deal that included tariff-free access for American gas and fracking technology. And the US just never responded to that. So with all of this in mind, the weeks leading up to this deadline are going to get a little bit rowdy. And on to our quick fire mentions, a few civil groups are challenging Joburg's new bylaw, which forces anyone with a CCTV camera facing public space to register it with the city, pay annual permit fees, and hand over footage only to police. If paying taxes wasn't frustrating enough, SARS' eFiling site crashed on opening day as traffic overwhelmed the system. Users were locked out for hours and the apology did little to calm the chaos. And Parliament's Prison Committee has backed new laws to fast-track the deportation of over 13,000 foreign inmates, saying that it could ease overcrowding and save taxpayers millions as prison costs hit 11 million rand a day. And on to our finance section. So how have our local markets reacted to the US tariffs? Well, the rand dipped hard on Monday after Trump made the announcement, but it bounced back on Tuesday, hovering at around 17.80 rand to the dollar. The JSE even posted a mild gain. But why is that? Well, some traders are betting that Trump is bluffing again, calling it the taco trade, short for Trump always chickens out. But look, while the markets look chilled, exporters aren't. You see, South Africa sends 7 million cartons of citrus to the US every year, and now they could be priced off the shelves. AgriSA says that the Noctis citrus, wine, macadamia, and ostrich exports could hammer margins and put jobs at risk. Now, mining shares were mostly spared thanks to exemptions for gold, platinum, and coal, but agriculture isn't getting that lifeline. So if Trump doesn't in fact chicken out, or Pretoria can't strike a deal before the deadline, the real pain won't just hit the stock tickers, it'll hit cold storage warehouses and farm towns. And next up, some of South Africa's biggest medical aids, including Discovery and MedScheme, are under pressure after a long-awaited report found that black doctors were more likely to be audited, investigated, and penalized than their white peers, and in some cases by as much as 6.5 times. The health minister says that these findings confirm a pattern of racial profiling and unfair treatments based on evidence collected from 2012 to 2019. But now the industry isn't accepting that conclusion. Discovery has dismissed the findings as flawed and unscientific, saying its own data shows no racial bias. The Board of Healthcare Funders, which represents major schemes, says that the panel confused correlation with causation and ignored factors like practice location, patient volumes, and audit exposure. So while no formal action has been taken just yet, the health minister says that reform proposals are on the way, but whether they're based on evidence or assumptions will be the real test going forward. And on to our quick fire mentions, Capitec's market value has surged nearly 350% in 5 years, putting it just 4 billion rand behind First Rand. It has now overtaken Standard Bank and is closing in on the title of Africa's most valuable lender. And a court has halted Mango Airlines' long-awaited rescue deal, ruling part of the business plan unlawful. The carrier's proposed sale is frozen for now as rescue practitioners prepare to appeal the judgment. And on to our sports section. While the Boks eye Italy in Test 2, there has been a full-on reshuffle brewing at Loftus. You see, Jake White is out, forced to step down after senior Bulls players, including Ron Nokia and Marcel Coetzee, took their grievances to management. In his place, no one knows yet, but one name being floated is Jacques Ninaber, the former Springbok coach, which would turn this whole thing into a full-blown Bok reunion. Because that's exactly what the Bulls are building. You see, former Bok center young Serfontaine just signed a 3-year deal. Andre Pollard is back, Marvin Ori's rejoined, and rumor has it that Kurtley Arendse might have shelved his Japan plans following White's exit. It's a power vacuum and a golden opportunity. 3 URC finals, 0 trophies, but now with world-class firepower and no more Jake White friction, the pressure's on. Loftus now has the talent. The only question left is who's going to coach it. And on to our quick fire mentions. Former referee Yaku Piper, who now works as the Springboks laws and discipline advisor, says that the team has asked World Rugby for clarity on last week's breakdown calls after feeling caught out in the first Italy test. Vion Mulder says that he declared on 367 runs out of respect for Brian Lara's legacy, passing up on the chance to break the 400-run record because, as he said it, legends deserve certain accolades, and winning the test for him came first. And Real Madrid faced PSG in today's Club World Cup semi-final, with Kylian Mbappe set to start against his old team for the first time since leaving them over unpaid wages. And on to our Bagel Bite of the day. Here is something to chew on. According to our board of healthcare funders, approximately how many South Africans belong to a registered medical scheme? Is it A, 2.5 million, B, 6.6 million, or C, 9.7 million? We'll give you the answer at the end of the show. And on to our wildcard section. Livingston Hospital in the Eastern Cape has lost nearly a third of its doctors, and hardly any have been replaced. You see, departments like the ICU, surgery, and anesthetics have been pushed to breaking points, and staff have even warned patients not to expect doctors at these outpatient clinics. And for those who have stayed behind, they say that the pressure is unbearable. No reinforcements, no rest, no relief. And this isn't just an isolated walkout, it's the kind of exodus that we've seen coming. I mean, back in May, we reported on the 2 healthcare workers who collapsed and died while on duty in a single week, which triggered this nationwide outcry. Interns are being pushed like full-time staff, senior doctors are leaving in frustration, and burnout has become normal, and in some cases, deadly. So what's happening at Livingston here is not a shock, it's a symptom. I mean, for years, healthcare workers have been ringing the bells, warning that this public healthcare system is unsustainable. And so unless something changes, it's only a matter of time before what happened in Livingston happens again somewhere else. And as for that Bagel Bite, according to the board of healthcare funders, approximately 9.7 million South Africans are members of registered medical schemes. And so statistically, at least a few million probably weren't particularly thrilled with that medical aid report that was released earlier this week. My friends, that's it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a cracker Wednesday, and I'll catch you all same time tomorrow. Cheers.